Hey, is it just me, or have you noticed how movies, TV, and music recently have just been, I don't know, mid? Especially those on our favorite subscription-based streaming services. It seems like everything and anything being released that has even a hint of corporate backing ends up being an unflushed out remake of another IP that we have all known and loved. Nobody seems to be able to create an original story anymore. Whether it be musicians literally using AI to create full bodies of work, from the lyrics to the composition and mastering.
Somebody tell me if 4 Bats is AI or not.
I've been seeing the conversation going.
Same, and it makes sense.
It makes a lot of fun.
It does.
It answers everything, actually.
Or Hollywood making yet another golden age Disney IRL remake. It all just seems repetitive. And I know what some of you will say, you just haven't seen the good stuff that's out, and only pay attention to the blockbusters. Why don't you watch Sundance Festival films and listen to obscure underground artists? That'll get you there. Fair. But that really isn't the point, is it? Media itself is meant to be shared, critiqued, and enjoyed on a societal scale. Sure, I can always look for non-mainstream art from the local starving artists. Precedent alone has proven that to be viable.
She hang around with a blood named Smokey. So I to let them know he was joking. He took her down to town to town. And showed her out to kick that go around.
But what makes music, movies, and TV great are the shared experience between the audience and the artist. With the slow and inevitable creeping of streaming services into all facets of media, the presumed dependence and relationship that artists have with their assembly continues to be stretched ever so thin, to the point where it seems that we may never return back to a time when you could buy a song for $1.29 on iTunes and own it until the day you or your Apple ID inevitably passes, or head to IKEA just to buy a standing shelf for all your Blu-rays and game discs. But hey, even at your lowest point in modern day, you can always turn on Netflix and binge your next 2 days away, basking in a societally accepted degeneracy and that blended scent of sweat, stale popcorn, and questionable dignity, only a click away. But wait, are you still watching? I'm beginning to lose sight on the days when everyone would camp down in their living rooms on whichever night it was, regardless of if you had homework, dinner, or work to do, to communally watch the newest episode of their favorite show, taking in every moment as if it were your last. Since you couldn't double tap to skip back or scroll the time backwards, you had to be attentive and alert as a TV watcher. Every frame, every shot is only happening one time, and the amount of effort to plan out a rerun watch just isn't worth the hassle.
I say, are you blind or just stupid?
What do you mean?
Perhaps you'd like to see what Lois and the Fat Man have been up to in your absence.
With the inception of DVRs and recording software broadly across the country in the late 2000s, some could argue this was when the death of die-hard TV fans really began. The day after airing, everyone who saw last night's release would gab about their favorite parts and relate in their shared excitement for next week's episode. Anticipation effectively simmering and keeping a hold on audiences for sometimes 30 weeks or so.
Wow, I can't believe they didn't take you.
Shut up! All right, here it is.
We used to have 30-minute sitcom shows run for seasons and seasons on end, with 24 episodes each. Meaning that's 24 weeks at a time when a single pop culture show would have the attention spans of their audience and many times the entirety of general public. You could put it up to the dwindling of societal attention spans, social media's inception, or a boatload of other aspects of modern day society which has led to this drastic change in the consumption of movies and TV. Nowadays, you can barely get 10 episodes out per season if you're lucky on Netflix. And it's even worse on HBO Max, with shows like It's Florida Man having only 6 episodes for its first season.
Petty, misguided, but most definitely stupid.
Now, you can argue that these anthology type shows are more thought-provoking and less predictable compared to some of the sitcom shows in the 2000s.
You have to choose, me or the Suits.
And therefore require longer episodes to tell a complete story, confining writers to only a few episodes since each one is filled with so much. Fair, and I will give it, as audiences get smarter and grow, so does the popular media that fills their free time. In many ways, both our movies and TV in recent times have fallen under 2 buckets. Garbage remakes of old classics with very little effort, or complete masterpieces that their genre has never seen before, whom may be too smart for their own good. Due to the increased need by viewers for visual stimulation and dopamine hits in order to tend to their deteriorating attention spans, audiences are no longer satisfied with any old generic story. If the graphics aren't top-notch and the entirety of the screen isn't crammed bit by bit with CGI and machine-created visuals. Even the more obscure indie movies, due to budgetary constraints, though equipment and visuals have not skyrocketed out of control like the more mainstream market, the writing and storylines, I feel, have been getting more and more chaotic, as to justify that urge by consumers for fresh and new. Every single genre seems to be pushing out projects loaded with twists and turns, like it's a M. Night Shyamalan movie. There was even a kids show that mimicked a suspense thriller. Like, come on! In Shyamalan's case, it works. In movies like Split, the supernatural theme and horror suspense aspects allow the many unexpected moments and twists to feel organic and complement the emotions he's trying to create in viewers, creating a masterpiece. But when you only have 30 minutes for an episode with an average of 2 to 3 30-second ads in between each, my name is Fill in any of your favorite Gone Wild child stars, and you're watching Disney Channel.
For a second, I don't like his face.
I don't like your face when we do business together. Okay.
It feels more like a forced entry into another genre of media, rather than the contemporarily accepted strategy of paying homage to another work of art.
Can you open the door, please?
They're breaking in.
The point of streaming when it first came out was to give power back to the consumer, the ability to watch whatever, whenever you wanted. Compared to previously, where even DVRs ran out of space if you didn't take the time to manually delete whatever you weren't going to watch, Netflix and many others, slowly as time progressed, promised viewers the option to have everything at their fingertips.
ESPN Plus content is now on Disney Plus.
Looking forward to being on the same team with you. Can you imagine the
Meaning
fun?
you could go from watching a cooking show 1 second to binging anime or NCIS the next, without even sweating about storage. The shared monthly subscription setup makes it so that everyone streams the same sets of shows from the provider's main servers and pay a fee to continue to be subscribed to the library. Essentially, most of what cable and TV was giving to us, just packaged in a different way. Especially when the movie industry at large was already tanking, due to the incremental progression that home TV setups had made, making big movie theaters obsolete, and in many ways a hassle to go to on a weekly basis like we used to do altogether. They provided the movies as catalog on these services as well, since they weren't really making ticket sales for many of them anyways.
This, not cinematic.
No, I get that. It's just when there's a giant explosion behind this, maybe it's not the best time to walk in slow motion.
But it made the decision to switch over to Netflix that much more of a no-brainer for any savvy consumer. For just $7.99 a month, you can have Hollywood at your fingertips, and turn every couch connoisseur into a movies and TV fanatic, without even having to repeat swipe that Visa.
The Netflix story is interesting, but it's one that's not a secret. This is a stock that's already up 9% this year and 75% over the past 12 months. So how much can we glean from Netflix vis-a-vis the rest of the big tech and media companies to report?
Especially towards the beginning, for fans and subscribers, all of the biggest and best shows were available to watch and critique in a way that's never been done before. Breaking Bad, Friends,
Oh, did I just share too much?
Just a smidge.
Community.
What? Bear down for midterms.
You can't just repeat it. You need to explain yourself.
Bear down is an expression.
I know the expression change.
Fly on the wall is an expression, but if I were to pitch fly on the wall for midterms, you might ask, what do you mean?
Chang, are you crying?
Madman.
I shouldn't have lost my temper, and I certainly shouldn't have treated you like anything less than a client.
Apology accepted.
You name it, they had it. Fans got the chance to be able to binge watch the entirety of their favorite shows if they wanted to. The term wasn't even a thing until Netflix came around. Before, we just called them couch potatoes, because they would just sit and watch every show that airs. But now, crazed viewers can specifically obsess over one single show, analyzing each second of every episode, the minor Easter eggs in each frame, which directors probably didn't even intend to be caught, now is by millions of people around the globe. Instead of having to wait 7 whole days for an episode of a show, you can watch all 30 tonight. Saturating the market to this scale overnight essentially does one of two things: make companies leading the charge an exorbitant amount of profit, and also tank the underlying value of the product itself and industry at large. Because we have to remember, though Netflix was founded in 1997, back then they were just a red box knockoff, which was already a more convenient blockbuster knockoff in and of itself. It wasn't until Netflix forcibly created its own streaming industry in 2007 when it began seeing the big bucks. What started out as a strategy to create more room for itself in an already diluted industry,
The market's in an itsy-bitsy little gully right now.
Netflix began by making its DVD rental catalog available directly over the internet as a free add-on for subscribers. This started as a cost-free incentive to rent out more DVDs, but quickly gained traction and notoriety amongst the public as a more convenient way to digest movies and TV altogether. By 2010, streaming had become the primary focus for Netflix, helping them attain the $468 billion in market capital that they have today. But as the number of users began growing, so did the subscription price. Because how could they not? Since a bag is a bag, right? I will give it to Netflix though. They held their original $7.99 price for a long time. From 2011 all the way till 2019, when it went up $1 for the basic plan. But the tricky Netflix overlords were smart. They played the long game. Keeping the $7.99 price was just to get users used to having the luxury of being able to stream everything. Once it was a standard in culture, similar to how phone companies got us too, that would be when financially motivated changes would start rolling in. Since 2013, which is only 2 years after digital streaming took hold, pricier standard and premium plans were introduced to Netflix users, with monthly fees of $9.99 and $11.99 to start off, and slowly going up to $15.49 and $19.99 by the time the basic plan was phased out in 2023. These new plans offered the chance to view all content at a higher 4K quality, even though the unassuming consumer wouldn't comprehend that even if the footage was revamped for 4K, the quality depends on the actual camera it was shot on. Like, there's a difference between a sitcom or a show that was shot in the 90s and something that was shot in the 2000s. Of course, this was before artificial means came into the picture. Premium also allowed users to view on several devices all at once, providing that familial support that many Fortune 500 companies must incorporate to fully optimize profits. Then they said everyone should have to pay, especially when the rise in prices meant many users were already figuring out ways to go around these hikes. Netflix sharing became bigger than ever. So, they phased out the basic plan without ads and introduced a new $6.99 standard with ads plan, but only one device at a time. For all the freeloaders, Netflix is not a fan. With prices stabling out at $7.99 today for standard with ads, reminiscent of the OG prices from back in the day without ads, and standard $17.99 and premium $24.99. It's like they're trying to force increased value in the content, which they had been pushing as free or $7.99 worth of content for so long.
Hey, what do you want?
Excuse me?
Tell us what we can do for you so that you can do this for us.
Oh, cool. I didn't know it could work that way.
And to make matters worse, since the introduction of Orange is the New Black, the breakout Netflix original, which had a genuinely unique perspective and plot, it broke every streaming record imaginable, got nominated for 6 Golden Globes, a Grammy, and 21 Emmys, winning 4 of them in just 2 years. This was a wake-up call for Netflix. Why bother spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year renting out IP after another from producers when they have the data and knowledge to become the producers? After that, they went on a tirade of independently produced property. From 2013, when Orange is the New Black first aired, in just 12 years, Netflix has produced over 3,700 original branded movie and TV titles. This represents a significant portion of their total catalog, which consists of around 7,000 titles, which changes fairly frequently, as many users can tell you, and a complete 180 from how they worked their business before 2013. Because the original shows are owned by Netflix, they make 100% of the profit with literally zero costs to continue showing. Which is why they have been heavily pushing us to watch these Netflix originals, calling in top Hollywood box office staples.
This is not real.
One after another.
Special Agent John Hartley, FBI.
Creating remakes of already proven classics.
Bonjour.
It's like Knives Out.
Benoit Blanc, the detective?
Mr. Prompt, I cannot overstate my gratitude to be here.
When's the murder mystery start?
And Top Chef.
So, feeling hungry, old friend?
They're going above and beyond to make sure they have a stake in media streaming.
Hungry.
And not just a middleman paying fees to hold on to popular titles like they once did. With the ever-growing competition from household brands like Disney and NBC with Hulu,
your favorites are in one place.
Hulu on Disney Plus. Our class is much bigger this year, so let's take a roll call.
Netflix was already being drowned in their own creation. And the only way to save themselves is to create their way out of it. But where does that leave the consumer? The loyal fans who used to line up for movie showings every weekend and now tweet their fingers off, expressing their admiration and love for their favorite IPs. Movies and TV used to be the route for creators to express themselves and their views on society and culture alike in an imaginative way. The structure of movie theaters, ticket sales, and TV programming alike gave enough room between releases and allowed for pop culture to organically grow around them. but as objectives swap to more monetary means
And deception.
where creating a show means less about the artistic nature of the piece, but rather to fill up a catalog of content, which viewers are just gonna forget about in a couple of weeks anyways.
This is the next big thing.
Constant gratification and disabled attention spans have made it so the art we once loved and cherished, beacons of originality and our own personality development, now sit in the background of whatever we're doing, filling up the pockets of deeply profound emptiness. All in all, the push for streaming media and subscription-based services feels less like a move to benefit the general public, but rather an ingenious plot to take away ownership from consumers. What better way to convince people to buy more of your products than to make everything a lease-by-lease basis? Why buy when you can rent? In a way, it's almost poetic. If you think of it like a movie...
Rick, explain to the audience exactly what it is a stunt double does.
Cliff here is meant to help carry the load.
Is that how you describe your job, Cliff?
What, carrying his load?
Yeah, it's about right.
Credit lines and financing were the first plot points foreshadowing the inevitable structural change that would proceed. Once seen culturally as a way to fund a business venture or a startup, now we use it to fund our next coffee machine. But bro, it's Nespresso! The last two signals of ownership as a grown adult lies with mortgages and cars. And even with those industries, the idea of borrowing and sharing have also begun seeping into the minds of executives. At this rate, all corporations in the near future would only have to produce one set of each product or service and just have it leased out to the general public for whoever wants it.
This is the greatest team ever.
That way, you wouldn't have to worry about any setbacks, like market volatility or national economic success. Just rent everything out. To the point where, as we grow older, society and the individuals living within it, who once had the joy of looking out at all the belongings and memories of their past, ones which they can look back on in their own possessions to remember all the good times of yesterday, now must make sure their payment has gone through first, as to prevent them from losing out on all the instances they most cherished in their life ever. Let's not even talk about if there was a server crash and everything just goes dark. What do you do now?
We get into a fight, I accidentally kill you, I go to jail.
Anybody accidentally kills anybody in a fight, they go to jail. It's called manslaughter.
You, flock of seagulls. You know why we're here? Why don't you tell my man Vince here where you got your shit head at?
It's over there.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing. You were saying?
It's in the cupboard.